Thank you. Okay, there we go. That's better. Thank you for waiting. Halito, everybody. This is CT over the NYC Indian. We're going to be talking about Married at First Sight. Did you guys watch it last night? If you like the video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up later on. Subscribe, all that good stuff. So let's start talking here. So last night, this was a good episode. This was still not the one that I was like really waiting for, but I think the one that I'm waiting for might be next week because, we got the drama last night. So this is going to be leading up to something, I think. So, we start off with Dom and Matt. So they're still on the couch with Pastor. So she says, he's like, well, what do you mean by you're over this, you're done, or whatever? And she's like, I want a divorce. And he's like, like you didn't even try to work this out. Are you sure this is what you want and everything? And she's like, she's just done with him. And she didn't even give the guy a chance that much. I feel like that those were small things. And he's like, your age and everything, make sure like the next relationship you go into, like you take some time out and stuff like that, because it, she was just basically definitely not ready for marriage if the fact that he does not like to do adventurous things the way that she does is enough to, well, that and the fact that she wanted somebody more established. Now that part I cannot fault her for. I'm just sorry about that. But I just felt like, if they would have, I okay, since we had the unemployed people on the previous seasons, right? I think they are probably, I would assume, I would hope that they're doing a better job about vetting people, making sure that they're showing, W-2s from the last, 4 years or whatever, making sure that people live in these houses that they say that they live in and that they're not, Airbnbs. I would hope that the vetting has become a little bit more, they've scrutinized like their backgrounds more than they have in the past. So going on that, I am assuming that he has money. He can support a family and everything like that. It just looks really bad with the whole basement situation. I mean, you can't blame her though, right? And that's another thing. She's very young, so she may not be thinking in that way. And you know, it would be different if he was broke throughout the experiment and there were little signs that were, he wasn't working or he was lying about his employment, or, kind of like we had, where Steve, like a couple of seasons back, where he just didn't want to work. So, if she had just given it, like they didn't even move in. And I forgot to mention, this is day 14. They've only been married for 2 weeks. You don't even know if, like, he's a good cook, or maybe he leaves his underwear behind the door and you got to work on that. I mean, there's nothing. You can't, how would you know you have not spent any time together? So I just thought she wasn't ready. And her mom signed her up for this experiment, and I think her mom wanted it more than she did, right? All right, so um, you know, she's rejecting his message basically because she just feels like, she didn't get the person that she wanted and she's just done with it. So, she's teary eyed. She packs up her stuff and she leaves the building. So now we see Jazz and Eris. Well, actually, this is Eris. He meets up with his cousin. And oh, we know what a piece of work she is. Now, I mean, she's sitting there across the table from him, and he's talking about the lack of chemistry and stuff like that. And he admits her good qualities, right? She'd be there, if the house got onto caught on fire, she'd pull me out, and all this survival struggle stuff kind of, but nothing about like, how he sees, well, I guess he does see the value in her, but he's not, he just can't get past the aesthetics basically. So, and, she seems pretty happy, the cousin, as, he's telling her how unattracted he is to her. And, she takes, she takes digs at Jasmine, and she's like, she's not a woman, because she, it be a woman if you're upset that your husband has said that he's not attracted to you. You need to be a woman, and you need to like tough it out and stand up for yourself and stuff like that. Well, I do wish that she reacted the same way as well. I still feel like you're not going to question someone's womanhood because she doesn't react the same way that you would react, right? Listen, the cousin, nobody's going to tell me anything different. And I understand half of it is like you feel very close with your family member, and I'm close with my family members. Let me tell you, my family members, when they say, oh, I met somebody, or I'm going to get married or something like that, in my mind they're never good enough for my cousins. Well, I have cousins and other relatives and stuff like that. In my mind, nobody's good enough, right? But I'm not rude to the people. You know what I mean? Certain things you just keep in your mind, and you just, you don't need to really have a discussion about it, right? Because if you see they're in love, and, it's a good functional relationship, and they're a good person, then, just, they're not, just because they're not who you choose, doesn't mean that they can't have a good relationship. So that part of it, I do understand, like that protectiveness, I get that. What I don't get is the being rude towards Jasmine. It's just unnecessary. And as far as I'm concerned, she's jealous, and it could be a jealous in a way where, she spends maybe a lot of time with her cousin, and she feels like I'm not gonna be able to spend as much time with him now that he's married. It could be she really has her life together, and maybe she doesn't. I don't know what her, the cousin Felina, I don't know what her situation is, but maybe, but there's some kind of jealousy there, right? Because, she's everything that she's not. She's like, she's very poised, and she's well mannered, and Jasmine carries herself with so much grace. She's educated, she's fit, she has her own business. Like, those are things to be jealous of, and I really think that she's just jealous of her. She really does. And I mean, she always knows how to wear the appropriate clothing, which I cannot say for that cousin. Remember the bra situation at the wedding? If my cousin were to show up at my wedding like that, with boobs all hanging down, I don't think so. You're not getting invited. You got to go home, get a bra, go to Macy's real quick. There's one down the block, and then you can come back. That's too much. I didn't like that. But anyway, so then they start talking about they're having about what's the name, Aris and Jasmine are going to have their housewarming party, and how he wants to invite her, but she's like, well, I'm not coming because I don't think this is real. I don't think it's gonna last. What's the point, and stuff like that. And I was thinking to myself, thank God it's not going to be a battle, because you don't need to be around Jasmine if you can't support their marriage in that way. Jasmine has done nothing wrong. Jasmine has just been she's been a daffodil, okay, an English garden, all right, and oh, that cousin, she's just so rude towards her. If she just wouldn't be rude towards her, then I'd be like, yeah, tell your cousin, like, get on his butt, because you know how he is, right? Because at first that's what I thought. But then when she was taking dick at Jasmine, and Jasmine's so sweet, doesn't it just like get on your nerves when somebody says something negative towards her? So anyway, Nicole, she meets up with her friend, and they have dinner and everything. And she talks about how he compliments her, but she doubts, like, is it too much? Like, does he really feel that way, or is he just trying to like gas me up or something like that? Because, he feels like he needs to, because, I'm so much, and blah, blah, blah. But, it's just really, it's screaming insecurity. And, apparently the type of things that she went through in her past relationships, I mean, I guess that's why she's like that. And, I just see her, rolling over a little bit too much for Chris. I don't know where this whole Chris thing is heading, especially after he hit her with the whole 9-month lease thing. Chris is a little more, he's not as sweet as we think he is, all right? That's the thing with Chris. So, I think she's overthinking it, but, Chris has his own, she just sees him as doing no wrong, and he's so perfect and stuff like that. I'm like, girl, no, that's not the case. So now we go to Clint and Gina, and surprise, surprise, surprise! Here comes Gina. She actually decides to move in. All right. I guess she heeded Pastor Cal's advice, right? She changes her mind. They're in separate bedrooms, of course. She brings over her dog and stuff. And Jasmine and Eris, now they're discussing the housewarming party. So Jasmine, she says basically, she does not want the cousin Felina to come to the party, because obviously, I mean, she's not supportive. Why have her in your space, right? And then he goes, well, he goes, well, I spoke to her, and she really doesn't want to come anyway. And it's like, but he was not happy that Jasmine told him that he didn't, after they made the plans, then he left, and then she texts him later and says, on second thought, I really don't want your cousin there. And he's like, oh, well, she should have said that to my face or something like that. He's just that's just air. He's just literally making up stuff. Come on, he wouldn't care either way. I'm not convinced of that. So then let's see. All right. Okay. So then we get to Nicole and Aris. Or sorry, Nicole and Chris. So they're prepping for their flamingo themed, welcoming party, and she gives them matching shirts, and he doesn't want the shirt, and it's like she's kind of making too big of a deal. She's like, okay, you don't want this? It's okay. It's okay if you don't want it. Okay, just let me know. I'm very glad that you're communicating with me, and I'm glad you're letting me know that it's too much. It's too it's like therapy on steroids. That's not how a relationship should work. It's almost like walking on, like she's walking on eggshells in a different kind of way, not in an eggshell like where she's afraid where he's violent or he's going to yell at her, but afraid like any little thing she says that he doesn't like he's going to leave her. And it's just she's too insecure. I mean, she's so giving and stuff like that, but she probably needs maybe just like one or two therapy sessions, maybe just, and she could be like, the ultimate wife. All she needs to do is just get her self-esteem up just a little bit. And then with somebody else, well, maybe with Chris, maybe, well, we have to, let me not put her with somebody else right away. But, Chris definitely has a lot to work on, to me, because he's got attachment issues, he's got abandonment issues, he's got this, playing the victim issues. So he needs a lot of work. To me, she just needs a little bit of work, but she thinks she needs so much work because she's taking heed to all these different things that people have said to her in the past. And, you can't be listening to your exes. I mean, what the hell do they know? So, all right, so now we have Shaquille and Kirsten. So they have his friend couple comes over, and her cousin and her cousin and her cousin's husband. So two couples, one is family, one is not, come over. And then, Kirsten, they're asking how it was going, and she's talking about how romantic and stuff things have been going. And she's just lying. Kirsten, I mean, can we talk about Kirsten? What is up with all the lying? I mean, I know people don't want to get labeled as the Alyssa or, like Merla, how they dogged her out because she had standards, God forbid. I think she's just really trying to avoid being the mass villain that she's pretending to be into him more than she isn't. I mean, she's still sticking it out. I'll give her that. And he's still thinking, I think that there's a little bit of a raindrop of hope, just a little bit, but for the most part, he knows she's not there. But I think he's still hoping just a little bit. But I don't think she's hoping for anything. I think she knows what she wants and she just doesn't want it. So Chris and Nicole, they have a nice little spread. I'm sure Nicole cooked. I can't imagine him doing all of that. And her people pull him to the side, and they're telling her oh, we're gonna help you, show you how to be, so she won't run you over, she won't bully you. Just kidding, ha ha ha. And I'm like, what, as a friend, you should not be saying stuff like that. Nicole is not a bully. We've not seen, I haven't seen anything. Have you guys seen anything so far that says that she would be a bully? I don't think so. But anyway, they're telling him basically you got to make sure you stand up for yourself and you speak up and everything like that. And he's just always sitting there yeah, well, he's just so, just such an innocent little lamb. I'm not buying that act, okay? So, and his people, if his brother was there, he says she wants him to not she's telling them she doesn't want him to always appease her. She wants to feel like it's natural and he's not just trying to, blow smoke up her butt. But then we go to Jasmine and Aris. And so their people arrive, right? And she starts talking about how she sleeps with her dogs and, her mom, I'm sorry, that was her aunt and her sister that came. And for him, it was his two buddies. And and then they talk about the whole Felina issue. She says to his people, like, I didn't feel like someone who's not supportive should be coming to our party, and I didn't want her to come. And that's basically that, because she's jealous. That's what, well, she didn't say that part, but I'm saying that part. And the aunts and the sisters have the conversation about the dog, and oh, how would you feel, if she were maybe to, because let me rewind a little bit. So Jasmine was saying, like, with her dogs, when she was single, her four dogs would sleep with her. Now, were these full grown dogs or were these puppies? I mean, I can see if they're little baby, like newborn little puppies, and even I don't know, I wouldn't do it, but maybe puppies, but and he's looking like, oh my God. So her family asked, like, how would you feel if she got rid of the dogs? He's like, oh, that'd be great. That'd be wonderful. But I don't think he would really care either way, because he doesn't plan on being with her, right? So now we go to no, we're still with her. So then she starts talking about how they haven't had sex yet. She says that to his buddies. And she's like you can what did she say? Oh, right. So then the auntie is asking, like, can you fall in love? Can you possibly see yourself maybe falling in love with her? And he's like, we'll see. And the aunt was done. She was done in that moment, because she was like, come on now, like, she, like she said, I'm Team Jasmine. So they know what a wonderful person she is. They know what a package, what a any man would be very, very lucky to have her. I mean, I just don't understand. Well, I do understand. It is, listen, people are attracted to what they're attracted to, and I'm not blaming him for his lack of attraction, but I think that because of um his mentality to begin with, he would never be able to get there. A lot of people are not going to be attracted to, the person on the first, initial meeting. It's a blind setup, right? But the whole point is to try to see if you can get past that point. That's the point of the experiment. Because otherwise, which if you're doing what you did before, then why do you need to come on the show, right? Obviously, what you were doing before wasn't working. So now so Dominique, she meets up with her mom, and they're sitting down in the restaurant. She's unhappy, and the mom is like questioning her, like, did you maybe make this decision too soon, or like, the mom was very disappointed. And again, she knows her daughter, so she probably knows, like, she doesn't want to say it on camera, but she's probably thinking, you fucked this up, right? That's what I'm thinking the mom is probably thinking. But she wants to, she has to put up, a united front with her and her daughter, right? So Clint and Gina, first, like, the very first scene, like in this with Clint and Gina, he's just like staring at the ground. He looks checked the hell out. I'm sorry, he just totally does. And they, he just blows smoke up his friend's butts. Oh, she's, we're in a better place, and we're just gonna try and push through and stuff like that. Even though, like I say, I feel like it's not going to work, I still give them credit for trying, because that's part of the process, which is why I don't give credit to Dominique. Because I felt like Dominique, I mean, how do you know? Like, you could have just moved in, and, like, maybe if, like, day 4 or something, you're just like, I just can't do this anymore. Then at least, you don't even know what it's like to live in your own shared space. Something could have happened. Because the funny thing about this is that they're the ones that got divorced, but out of all of the couples, Nicole and Chris, well, we're going to talk about Nicole. I was about to say no, Nicole and Chris. I'm going to say Dominique and Mac were the only ones that initially had the mutual attraction. It was just some personality things that they couldn't get past later on, but like the physical chemistry and everything, she thought he was good looking, he thought she was good looking. I mean, so it's so funny that that's the everybody else is struggling while only one person is attracted to the other partner in the relationship, or none at all. They're the ones that had the attraction, but it's still not. Oh God. Anyway, So now it's time for this potluck, right? So they get the couples, they all gather in the buildings like their common room or whatever. And Dom and Mac actually showed up, which kind of surprised me, right? So, Mac is like, they're sitting all sitting around talking stuff. And then here comes Mac. Has anybody had sex yet? Like, so stupid. Like, yeah, that would, he does not know how to read a room. And he is awkward. He is very awkward. But I don't think that that's a reason to, like, be so turned off. But at 25, listen, the brain just finished developing a couple of years ago. So, um, and then, it's like, let's go past that, right? So, then he announces that they got divorced. And, they were the only ones who really had that initial attraction, like I said. And then Chris and Nicole asked about, like, their about appearance and stuff like that. And not appearance, but Nicole is like, I think you're making a mistake. I think you're not giving it enough time. And who else said that? Even Kirsten was like, you may want to give it a little bit more. You didn't hear it was radio silence from Eris, right? He didn't want to say anything because he's like, yeah, I know what it's like. When you don't want to be with somebody, and Gina, and even Gina. Well, the look on Gina's face was kind of like, yeah, I get you, because like as soon as this is done, I'm leaving because I'm not getting any bad press for my salon that I left this man too early and called him a ginger. So she didn't say anything, but I could tell like a lot of them were like, what are you doing? But I'm kind of glad Nicole really spoke up the way she did. She handled it in a very mature way. I think she was very, succinct, and I like what she had to say. So Dom and Mac, they go back to the apartment together, and she gave a well, actually, no, sorry, when they were all telling her, like, she was making the wrong decision, or that she had made the wrong decision, they say to her like, is there no way whatsoever, like, is this completely a closed door? And she's like, well, maybe. But she was lying, come to find out, because when they get back to the apartment, he was like, so what was the maybe about? And she's giving him false hope, right? And she's like, well, yeah, not really. I just said that because I felt pressured. And she's you can tell she has a look on her face like, oh my God, everybody's ganged up on me kind of look. Why did everybody come down so harshly on me? Well, because this is the experiment, and this wasn't love at first sight. You're going to get everything that you want, and blah blah blah. I mean, I could see if the man was living out of a cardboard box or something, but you didn't even stay with him for 1 week to see like him. Maybe he genuinely was just waiting to get the apartment together. I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying I'm for that. But if you have other good qualities about yourself, like you didn't even get a chance. Maybe he would have said, maybe if you were like, okay, well, I want to live in this part of town, maybe he would have put that deposit down just like that, and be like, okay, you don't even have to work. You just don't know. Like, how do you know, like, when you haven't even given it a shot, and she was saying that she didn't like Nicole's response, and because she just felt pressure. So basically they pack up, and they leave, and that was decision day for them. So and then she's like, well, we can still be friends, and he was like, I don't want to be your friend. And then that seemed to really get her. And I was like, see, this is really the immaturity. And we saw this during the bachelorette party, right? How she was acting with the stripper and stuff like that. It did not seem like somebody who was ready to be married. And usually we see that kind of behavior with the guys. But with her, it just made me think like, nah, this was bad casting with her. So the fact that he doesn't want to be friends, now that's got her even more upset. I'm like, people don't sign up and give their whole lives and put their lives on TV to be scrutinized and everything like that just to become friends with somebody. What is the matter with you? She's very stupid. I think she made a very big mistake. Like I said, he messed up with that whole apartment situation. McKinley should have gone on this show with at least an Airbnb like the rest of some of these past cast members have done. You know what I'm saying? Because some of them, like some of those places really look like Airbnbs. Nate's place, Nate and Stasha, that did not look like any place that he actually lived in. Okay? I'm sorry. It just did not. So, why didn't he just do that for like the time being? You know what I'm saying? Like, keep that basement apartment, rent something so that you can have, like, a place to bring her to at least, and just tell her, hey, listen, yes, I'm staying in my friend, whatever, my friend's family's place, but I wanted to make sure that you had a place to kind of come to, and you could see kind of how even if it's just for a month. I mean, I understand I want to sign a whole lease for a year and everything like that, but get something temporary, a month to month lease, Um, I just feel let down. I feel disappointed. They were the couple I was really rooting for. I was so, um, I just wanted. It had been so long since we'd seen an interracial couple on this, on this particular series. I mean, it had been like, I don't know, the last interracial couple maybe it was like season 2 or season 3. So I was really excited and looking forward to it, but it crashed and it burned, and now they're going to use that as an excuse. Oh, see, that's why we, two people from two different backgrounds, they just can't make it. There's just too many obstacles as it is, and I think it's a shame. And I guess my theory was wrong, that my theory is that Eris would be really into Dominique, but I was wrong about that, I guess. Well, then again, the season is still young. Okay, we're only into week 2, but I haven't seen that, chemistry that I thought I might see a little bit later on. But we're gonna keep. I'm still watching them with both my eyes. Okay, I'm still watching them. So, we saw the previews. Oh, by the way, before I get into the previews for next week, so you guys, I will be back on, what is it, on Saturday for Love After Lockup, and then Monday again for 90 Day the Other Way. So you guys can check those out. I also have some, just a different collection of different videos and stuff on my playlist on the channel, so you can check that out. But for the previews for next week, honey, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, Chris. Oh my goodness. Chris, what he said to Nicole about her body, I was thinking to myself, we definitely have a very curvy cast this year, which is kind of interesting because that's really how a lot of women do actually look here in America anyway. But, we tend to see the smaller women. They pick the smaller women on, for this show typically. But this season was like very, your typical average American woman. And this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting because, yes, Nicole is a thick woman. Let's just, let's keep it real. And Chris, I guess Chris is not so into his lady's figure. So, ooh, we got a lot to talk about next week. So anyway, that's it, guys. Let's talk next week. All right, peace and love you.